So as per as multi-resolution analysis, the abbreviation we can make capital MRA, which is also known as multi-resolution theory. So this particular domain associated to the wavelet transformation and other mathematical tools further developed after the wavelet transforms, those we have studied here, especially the Haar wavelet here. So multi-resolution analysis is basically concerned with the representation of the signal information and further analysis of the same. Most possibly this is referred to the two-dimensional signal to be the images, where this representation is made at more than one resolution. So multiple resolutions are into the concern, hence the analysis made up for such type of information represented with multiple resolution is known as multi-resolution analysis or multi-resolution theory. Now, what is the basic requirement that we need to have representation of signal information at multiple resolutions? The reason is, for such an approach to come into the signal processing domain is that the features of the signal information that might go undetected at one scale of resolution may be easy to find out at another resolution. That is why it is better to have the signal or the information represented at multiple resolution. So the detection of the particular components at the best level of resolution matched to it can be possible with the help of this particular multi-resolution analysis or multi-resolution theory. So especially the two-dimensional signals, those are the images that we generally represent with the help of x and y, the two spatial parameters that contain the information at different scales or the levels. Generally we refer to it as objects into the scenario that has been recorded by the imaging sensors. For example, if it is any scenario that we have recorded from the civil region, so the objects can be the buildings, the people here. So the people or the building, they have physical different dimensions here. So analyzing all these particular objects, those have been captured in the image as a two-dimensional signal, will not be possible when we have the information at one resolution only. Let us have a look here. We are analyzing the information at the same scale. So for that particular example, we have this image as a two-dimensional signal. In this image you see there it is a building and a lot of people are standing or going thereby on the road here. So for analysis purpose, if we are making the use of a window of fixed size here, so as per the physical dimension of the building that we see in this particular image plane, if the window size is large, it will be quite convenient to analyze the further details of the building to be one of the object. But if in the crowd we need to find the more details of people with different colorful their dresses or whatever other objects they are holding, or if they are walking or driving with their vehicles, so that time the large window size will not be the effective option. And on other hand, if we are making the use of window with small size, it will not better fit to analyze the details of the building structure. So that is why it is recommended here in multi-resolution analysis to make the use of windows of different size, that is to vary the scale here. So the objects, those particularly match to higher dimensions, we can prefer to the window with large size, and for the tiny objects in general, I can say we can make the use of window with small size here. So alternatively, here we can use the same window also, but we have to analyze the information at different resolution. If it is the case here, you see the same picture here we have, and in this particular same picture we have selected a window with fixed size here. So here you see the high resolution analyzed with the help of the same fixed size window here, whereas the low resolution analysis will be there if here it is the window. So small size objects should be examined at the high resolution, whereas the large size objects should be examined at the low resolution. For more clarity, I will give you one more example. See, if we want to have a look of the complete city, so for that purpose it is quite convenient to be yourself at the hilltop which is nearby to your city, and from the top position it will be quite convenient to get the entire visualization or the most of the part of your city here. But if you are on the road, besides you are having the tall buildings here, so from such a location it will not be the enough visualization of the complete details you expected for. So the distance between the scenario and from the point where you are having the analysis done also matters here. So that is why these are the 2 points. If there are small size objects, so you can go near to them to grasp more details, and if the objects to be analyzed is of large size, so you should have sufficient distance from that particular object so that it fits into the frame or the window size that you are using for the analysis purpose. So the summary of multi-resolution theory can be find out if we have a knowledge of the 3 things here. The first one is the subband coding, that is especially a part of the signal processing. Next one is the quadrature mirror filtering, which is from the digital speech recognition domain. And the third one is the pyramidal processing, which is especially from image processing. So image processing is also belonging to the signal processing. Only the thing is that the signal is a 2-dimensional signal that can be plotted onto the plane here. So in short, multi-resolution theory is basically the combination of the 3 things that we have here: subband coding, quadrature mirror filtering, and then pyramidal image processing. So as quadrature mirror filtering or the filtering back, we are already covered into our second chapter where we have addressed the multi-rate digital signal processing systems here. So I will just highlight few of the points with respect to, first of all, subband coding and then the pyramidal image processing here. So what is exactly subband coding? What is the procedure to carry out the subband coding? The answer is that while we have a subband coding for a signal, the signal is decomposed into a set of band limited components. That is why the name is subband, and these subbands can be further reassembled for re-obtaining or reconstructing the original signal without making any error. So this was the subband coding theory that was originally developed for the speech and the image compression here. So with minimum information components, if the entire information at your hand is to be stored and further communicated at distant end, so that is the compression, signal compression in general. Speech is also one type of the signal, image is also one type of the signal here. So here each subband is generally obtained by bandpass filtering the entire input information. So in this fashion, if we are finding the subbands, and since the bandwidth of the resulting subbands, if it is smaller than that of the original signal, then the subbands can be downsampled without the loss of information. Reconstruction of the original information with the help of which the subbands are determined here, that reconstruction can be accomplished by upsampling the filtering and then further summing the individual subbands here. So for better understanding, let us have the discussion with the help of one illustration here. So here we can treat it to be figure part A. So this is a two-band filter bank for one-dimensional subband coding and further decoding here. So here you can see that the input of the system is a one-dimensional representation. It is a band-limited discrete time signal denoted as x of n on the left-hand side, and this is holding true for the discrete time parameter n holding the values 0, 1, 2 and so on. Now at the right hand side you see the output sequence from this particular system, and that is denoted by x cap of n, that is formed through the decomposition of x of n into initially y0 of n and y1 of n, and this is by the use of analysis filters. So in the second chapter, as we have studied multi-rate DSPs, thereupon I have already shown you and discussed these concepts of analysis type of the filter bank and then the synthesis type here. So when from one branch you are having multiple branches, this is basically analysis of the signal component, whereas from multiple branches if you are obtaining one branch, that is synthesis here. So this way we have the synthesis and the analysis. The analysis filters are shown as H0 of n, H1 of n corresponding to the branches of Y0 of n and Y1 of n, and then we have the subsequent recombination of the branches via synthesis filters denoted as G0 of n and G1 of n. The filters H0 of n and H1 of n are the half band digital filters whose idealized transfer characteristics can be denoted by the capital letters capital H0 and capital H1. We shall also visualize these particular transfer characteristics. So these are just the points we have seen corresponding to the block schematic of the two-band filter bank for one-dimensional subband coding and further decoding purpose. And here we visualize the corresponding spectrum splitting properties representing capital H0 of omega and capital H1 of omega. So omega is the angular frequency. In general we have the angular frequency omega is equal to 2 pi f here. So here in this spectrum you see a low band and high band here. The frequency markings you can see from 0 to pi by 2, and next to that we have pi here. So now the filter capital H0 is a low pass filter that you see on the left hand side, whose output is an approximation of the input signal x of n, whereas the filter H1 is the high pass filter whose output is the high frequency or detailed part of x of n here. So all the filtering is here first of all performed in the time domain by convolving each filter's input with corresponding impulse response and to the unit amplitude impulse function, the impulse function that can be denoted by del of n here. So these are the points with respect to the earlier illustration of the spectrum splitting properties here. So as we are intended to have selection of H0 of n, H1 of n, G0 of n and G1 of n, so that the input can be reconstructed perfectly here. The further use of Z transformation to get the time domain representation into the transform domain representation here. By the complex representation we prefer to Z transformation here. A generalization of the discrete Fourier transformation can be made here, and that is the ideal tool for studying the discrete time sampled data systems here. So preferring the Z transform for the input sequence that is denoted by x of n holding the values of n is equal to 0, 1, 2 as confined to only the thing that we have seen in the block schematic here. So here the Z transform representation is capital X of Z given by the summation for n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity for the product of x of n by z to the power minus n. Now further making the decimation or the downsampling by the factor of 2 here we obtain x suffix down of n, that is equal to x of twice n. So in the Z transform representation we have capital X suffix down of Z here, that is equal to 1 by 2 times, in the bracket we have the addition of capital X of Z to the power 1 by 2 added by capital X of minus Z to the power 1 by 2 here. And after this the upsampling or interpolation by the factor of 2 can be done here. The resultant is x superscript up, that is up, of n, that is obtaining the value of x of n by 2 for n is equal to the even numbers 0, 2, 4 and so on. Otherwise it is equal to 0. In the Z transform version we represented capital F superscript up of Z, that is equal to capital X of Z square. So here if the input sequence x of n is downsampled and afterwards upsampled as shown with the help of these expressions here, that is yielding x cap of n. So x cap of n that we have seen on the right hand side of the first block schematic here. In the Z transform domain the representation is capital X cap of Z, that is equal to 1 by 2 times in the bracket capital X of Z added by capital X of minus Z. So finally we can express the system's output given by the mathematical expression writing capital X cap of Z, that is equal to 1 by 2 times capital G suffix 0 of Z multiplied to the bracket where we have product of capital H0 of Z with capital X of Z added to capital H0 of minus Z into capital X of minus Z, whereas this term is added by 1 by 2 times capital G1 of Z into the bracket that is having addition of two terms, H1 of Z multiplied to capital X of Z, and the second term is capital H1 of minus Z into capital X of minus Z here. Now for this representation, making the rearrangement into the terms on the right hand side here, we obtain the new expression. Here we have capital X cap of Z is equal to 1 by 2 times H0 of Z into G0 of Z added to H1 of Z into G1 of Z, and this bracket is further multiplied to capital X of Z. This is added by 1 by 2 times in the bracket H0 of minus Z into G0 of Z added by H1 of minus Z into G1 of Z. The bracket is completed and further multiplied to capital X of minus Z here. So now the error-free reconstruction of the input here we impose with the help of the conditions. The conditions are H0 of minus Z into G0 of Z added by H1 of minus Z into G1 of Z is equal to 0, whereas H0 of Z into G0 of Z added by H1 of Z into G1 of Z is equal to 2 here. So both of these can be incorporated into this system by using the single matrix expression. So here we have the matrix expression given by, in the matrix form, G0 of Z, G1 of Z multiplied to H suffix m of Z, that is equal to the matrix obtaining the values 2 and 0. So in this representation, the analysis modulation matrix is denoted by capital H suffix m of Z here, and this is expressed in the form order 2 by 2 initially represented here, where we have in the first row capital H0 of Z, capital H0 of minus Z. In the next row we have capital H1 of Z, capital H1 of minus Z here. Now assuming the condition of non-singularity, that is we have the column matrix G0 of Z, G1 of Z, that is equal to 2 upon determinant of the analysis modulation matrix as denoted capital H suffix m of Z multiplied to the column matrix H1 of minus Z. The second element to this column is minus H0 of minus Z here. So here the analysis and the synthesis filters are cross modulated here, and for the finite impulse response, that is abbreviated as FIR filters, the determination of the analysis modulation matrix denoted by capital H suffix m is a pure delay. So that it is denoted as determinant of capital H suffix m of z is equal to alpha times z to the power minus in the bracket 2k plus 1. So therefore the exact form of the cross modulation we find to be a function of alpha here. Now if we opt the value of alpha is equal to plus 2, so that time we obtain g0 of n is equal to minus 1 to the power n into h1 of n, whereas g1 of n is equal to minus 1 to the power n plus 1 into h0 of n here. And if we have the alpha value to be minus 2, so that time we get g0 of n is equal to minus 1 to the power n plus 1 into h1 of n. The next equation is of g1 of n, which is equal to minus 1 to the power n into h0 of n here. So therefore the FIR synthesis filters are seen to be cross-modulated copies of the analysis filters, with one and only one being sign reverse that you can observe in the above equations. Now these equations can also be used for demonstration of the bi-orthogonality of the analysis and the synthesis filters. So for making this, let us assume that P of Z be the product of the low pass analysis and synthesis filter transfer function expressed as P of Z is equal to G0 of Z into H0 of Z, that is equal to 2 divided by determinant of Hm of Z, and this is multiplied to H0 of Z into H1 of minus Z. In the similar fashion we can also write the expression taking G1 of Z into H1 of Z onto the left hand side, that is equal to minus 2 divided by determinant of Hm of Z multiplied to H0 of minus Z into H1 of Z here. This is equal to P of minus Z here. So therefore we write G0 of Z into H0 of Z added by G0 of minus Z into H0 of minus Z is equal to 2. Now taking the inverse transformation for Z transform representation here, we write summation operation for index variable k for the multiplication of G0 of k with H0 of n minus k, which is added to minus 1 to the power n, for again the summation with index variable k for G0 of k multiplied to H0 of n minus k, which is equal to 2 times the impulse representation del of n here. So as the odd index terms will cancel out with each other and additional simplification will bring to the new form of the equation. Here we write summation with index variable k for multiplication of G0 of k with H0 of 2n minus k, that is equal to the inner product of G0 of k with H0 of 2n minus k, that is equal to del of n. Now it can be shown that here we have the inner product of G1 of k with H1 of 2n minus k, that is equal to del of n. Then the inner product of G0 of k with H1 of twice n minus k is equal to 0. Also the inner product of G1 of k with H0 of twice n minus k is equal to 0. Now the combination of all these will establish the more general expression given as the inner product of in general H suffix I of twice n minus k with G suffix j of k, that is given by del of I minus j multiplied to del of n, where I and j will be obtaining values from the set 0 to 1 here. Now here the filter banks are satisfying this condition, and if this is true, so that time we can say that this is bi-orthogonal. Moreover, the analysis and the synthesis filter impulse responses of all the two band real coefficient perfect construction filter banks are subject to the bi-orthogonality constraint. Example biorthogonal can be given as the FIR filters including the biorthogonal spline family and the biorthogonal coiflets family here. Let us visualize one table to see the general solutions to the equations. The two equations are here. We have h0 of minus z multiplied to g0 of z, that is added to h1 of minus z into g1 of z. This is equal to 0. We have h0 of z multiplied to g0 of z added by h1 of z into g1 of z, that is equal to 2. While each of this equation satisfy the biorthogonality requirement, they are generated in different ways and define the unique classes of perfect reconstruction filters. So here we visualize this corresponding table. So here we have first column of this table to be the filter. Here we have h0 of z, then h1 of z, g0 of z, g1 of z. Whereas the quadrature mirror filter representation is there in the second column. Next to that we have CQF, coiflets representation, and lastly the orthonormal. So for each of this class, a prototype filter is designated to a particular specification and the remaining filters are computed from this particular prototype as shown in the table. The columns 1 and 2, as I have shown you for this table, are classic results from the filter banks. We have named it quadrature mirror filter bank for QMF and conjugate quadrature filters for CQFs here. The filters in the column 3, which are later used in the development of the fast wavelet transformation, are called as orthonormal here. Now let us visualize a block schematic that is showing us a two-dimensional 4-band filter bank for subband image coding here. So here we visualize where the input is denoted x of m comma n, and at the last we are having a of m comma n to be the approximation. D superscript v of m comma n is the representation of vertical details. D superscript capital H of m comma n is the representation of horizontal detail, and at last the diagonal details are denoted by small d superscript capital D of m comma n. So here we have one or more of these subbands. Those can be split into the 4 smaller subbands which can be split again and so on. So here we have the figure next to this that shows the impulse responses of the 4 8-tab orthonormal filters. Here we see first of all the coefficient values for the low pass filter denoted by h0 of n, where n is ranging from 0 to 7. The coefficient values are minus 0.010599740. Next to that we have 0.032888301, 0.030841138. This way we have all these 8 values as represented, and next to that the visualization of the illustration where the impulse responses of the 4 8-tab Dobach's orthonormal filters are given here. So here we see the plots of h0 of n, h1 of n, g0 of n and g1 of n here. So this was the discussion with respect to the subband coding and further the use of QMF filter banking here. Now the last part, that is a part of the multi-resolution analysis, is the image pyramid. This is basically from imaging here. So image processing technique we can say here. So as we have talked about the wavelet tool to provide the decomposition of the signal information at various resolutions here. So this is quite resembling to the geometrical or geographical structure also available to be the pyramid here. So here we have the 3-dimensional structure pyramid here. So this is from the very popular pyramidal site from the Egypt here. Now what is image pyramid? So basically the image pyramid is a powerful but conceptually simple structure for understanding where we have representation of the images to be a two-dimensional signal at more than one resolution here. Now, it was originally devised for the machine vision and the image compression applications here. An image pyramid is basically a collection of decreasing resolution images arranged in the shape of a pyramid. So this can be better discussed with the help of one example. Here we have the images for the same scenario from high resolution to the low resolution. So at the bottom you see the physical dimension of the image is more as compared to the other images on this particular slide, and this has progressively go on reducing. So this is the journey for representation of the signal information, a two-dimensional image signal information from high resolution to low resolution. One more example can also be given where the image signal information is noted with the help of number of bits those are required for representation of the image sample here. So as we go on reducing the resolution here we have the storage of the information and further the communication with, as we see the example with the help of 512, then 256, 128. So number of pixels in terms of the dimension as far as the image is concerned I am talking is going on reducing, right from 64, 32, 16 and finally 8. The comparison you see as the dimension is getting reduced, but it tried to have the whole scenario captured with the minimum number of pixels. The quality of the image information is dramatically getting reduced here. So for the application at hand, you should have selection of the particular label that is providing you the better scenario with optimal storage. So this is what the multi-resolution analysis with the help of the image pyramids here. See, the typical image pyramid for the image is shown here. So here it is the plot here. So at the base you see there it is label J. Next to that we have label J minus 1. So this way if we have a reduction into the resolution level, we can go for level 2, level 1, level 0. So what it was the dimension capital N by N that has reduced to 1 by 1 as we reach from base to the peak here. So the basis of the pyramid here contains the high resolution representation of the image that is being processed, and the apex is containing a low resolution approximation here. And as we move up into the pyramid, both the size and the resolution are going to decrease here. And since the base level that we have denoted by capital J, that is of the size 2 to the power j by 2 to the power j, or in the dimension of the image we have capital N by N, where j is equal to log to the base 2 of capital N. The intermediate label small j is the size 2 to the power small j into 2 to the power small j, where the small j is greater than or equal to 0 but less than or equal to capital J. So the fully populated pyramids are composed of capital J plus 1 resolution labels from 2 to the power j by 2 to the power j to 2 to the power 0, that means 1 by 1. But most of the pyramids are truncated to capital P plus 1 labels, where j is equal to j minus p to the reduction as j minus 2, j minus 1, and we have the p ranging between 1 to j here along with j here, and that is we are normally limiting ourselves to the p reduced resolution approximations of the original image here. Now the total number of elements into the capital P plus 1 label pyramid for p greater than 0 can be expressed mathematically given by this equation. So capital N square multiplied to the bracket where we have 1 added with 1 by 4 further added to 1 upon 4 square. This way the addition continues to the term 1 upon 4 to the power p, which is less than or equal to 4 by 3 times capital N square. Now let us see a figure that will show the system of constructing the image pyramids here. The level J-1 approximation output is used here for creating the approximation pyramids which contain one or more approximations of the original image here. So this is the block schematic that you can see here for creating the pyramidal image structure. So you can start from the left hand side where we have level J input image. Then we see the blocks approximation filter along with the downsampler to the first branch. Second branch is directly going to the summer here. Next to that we have again separation of the first branch into the two, where we have interpolation filter along with the upsampler that is giving the signal to the summer with negative sign here, and another branch is producing the level J-1 approximation, and the output of the summation is here producing the level J prediction residual here. Now more information with respect to this can be given that both the original image which is at the base of the pyramid and its p-reduced resolution approximations can be accessed and manipulated directly. The information at level J is the difference between the level J approximation of the corresponding approximation pyramid and an estimate of that approximation based on the level J-1 prediction residual here. This particular difference can be coded and further stored and transmitted more efficiently than the approximations here. The approximation and the prediction residual pyramids are computed in an relative fashion here, and each pass is composed of the three sequential steps. So the three steps we are going to see in sequential order here. So we have the first step for computation of a reduced resolution approximation of the input image, which is accomplished by the filtering the input and then further downsampling, that is subsampling the filtered result by the factor of 2. Further, a variety of filtering operations can be used here. The neighborhood averaging, which produces the mean pyramid, then the low pass Gaussian filtering, which produces the Gaussian pyramid, or no filtering, that is resulting into the subsampling pyramid, and without the filter aliasing can become the pronounced in the upper levels of the pyramid here. So the next sequential step after the first one, that it was to compute the reduced resolution approximation of the input image, is to upsample the output of the previous step again by the factor of 2, that is to repeat, and filter the corresponding result here. So this will create the prediction image with the same resolution as that of the input, and the interpolation filter will determine how accurately the prediction approximation the input to step number 1, and if the interpolation filter is omitted, the prediction is an upsampled version of the step 1 output, and the blocking effects of the pixel replication may become visible here. Lastly, we have step number 3, that is to have computation of the difference between the prediction of step 2 here and the input to step number 1. So here the difference that is labeled the level J prediction residual can be later used for reconstructing progressively the original image, and in the absence of quantization error, a prediction residual pyramid can be used to generate the corresponding approximation pyramid including the original image without error. Now executing this particular procedure p times will produce two intimately related p+1 level approximations and the prediction residual pyramids here. The level J-1 approximation outputs are used to populate the approximation pyramid. The level J prediction residual outputs are placed in the prediction residual pyramid, and if the prediction residual pyramid is not needed, the step 2 and 3 together with the upsampler device, that is interpolation filter, and the summer can be removed from the schematic that we have seen. Now let us have the summary what exactly the approximation pyramid is. So in approximation pyramid, at each of the reduced resolution level we have a filtered and downsampled image. So the downsampling here it is represented f suffix the downwards arrow with the factor 2 as shown. So f is a function of n that can be represented f of twice n. So this is the prototype of the approximation pyramid. Next to that, the summary for the another type of the pyramid, that is prediction pyramid, can be shown here, where a prediction of each high resolution level is obtained by upsampling, that means inserting zeros, what we call zero padding for the previous low resolution level, that is prediction pyramid, and further interpolating. This is the prototype of this particular prediction pyramid here. So the upsampling or interpolation or zero padding here is shown with the help of upwards arrow by the factor of 2. So f of n, it is expressed as f of n by 2, and if n is even, that is 2, otherwise this is equal to 0. So all these details of the interpolation, that is the upsampling process, and the decimation, which is the downsampling process, we have already learned in chapter number 2, where we have addressed the details of multi-rate digital signal processing. So at last, the prediction residual pyramid details can be given. So at each resolution level, the prediction error is retained along with the lowest resolution level image, and the original image may be reconstructed from this particular information. So these were the details of the subband coding, then the QMF filter bank, and the use of image pyramids. Those complete the multi-resolution analysis, that is providing a benefit of detecting more and more information at different possible resolution that best matches the resolution of the object in the scenario or in the signal information here. So this was our topic, multi-resolution analysis.